What's going on? How y'all doing? Doing great. I think I've had a chance to see most of you guys before today, but if not, welcome back. Excited to see you. Did not get the results we kind of desired this past weekend as far as the details, the execution, but had 2 really good days of work, kind of getting back to it. And I've had a great camp so far, so ready to rock and roll.
What needs to be addressed with the offensive line? Is it just a lack of desire, will, wants? I mean, it's not like that's not how they're not that bad, obviously.
Well, none of those things. Right. Desire's there, the will's there. They've been really consistent. Had a, somewhat off day. I wouldn't say overall it was all bad. There was some good combination work, some good fit up from a pass protecting standpoint, but the details, not just with that spot, but every single spot needs to improve overall.
When the playbook is that vanilla, how frustrating is it, but also necessary, and what's tough about that going into these games?
Well, I mean, our approach, regardless of whether it's vanilla or it's dynamic from a playbook standpoint, execution is the overall goal. So it's always frustrating anytime you don't get the results you've been working on, especially going against that same opponent you had some success against early in the week in the joint practice, which is practice versus the game. But it's definitely frustrating, but it's still a preseason game. We're excited about getting back to work.
With regard to the level of game level physicality, are they where you desire them to be at this point?
Not on game day, it wasn't. I would say in general, yes. I mean, every day against our defense, who's one of the best I've been a part of from a schematic standpoint, but also personnel-wise. I mean, it's kind of a classic iron sharpens iron mentality every single day as far as those battles we have, particularly in the trenches, but across the board as well.
I know that Coach Frank Reich said that giving Matt Corral the bulk of the reps would allow you guys to see exactly what you have. And with you guys not really employing a full playbook in the preseason, what are you guys using to evaluate him?
Overall operation, I think just the execution, the details, everything from a small, minute factor of how we get into a huddle, communicating personnels, going through the snap count, to the overall execution of every single play, going through our checks, our kills. He's done a really good job for the most part of that. Speaking of Matt, from the first time we got here where it was a lot of wristband work, so now he can operate off of that, clearly communicate the playbook, and also do a really good job as far as operating down in, down out.
What have you seen from Bryce so far?
So it's been a lot of great execution. I think, we talk about the evaluation process with him from day one. And the expectation level for him, obviously being the number one overall draft pick, but just because of what he's shown so far, even before coming here, has been dynamic to work with every single day. Just from his process, and obviously it's all new for him as well, like first time in the stadium, trying to figure out where to go, his game day routine, but also his overall demeanor of always being cool, calm, and collective. So I think it's watching him go from in OTAs to training camp to getting closer towards mastering his offense has been great to see.
Thomas, can you talk about putting together this playbook, combination of Ram's knowledge, of Frank's knowledge, and how much of the playbook is that each one of those, and how that kind of worked for you?
Well, I would say it was less of taking the Rams playbook and the Colts playbook and putting it together, and more of breaking down both systems and starting all over again from ground zero to everything from general information, how we ID fronts, our formation shifts, our motions, the snap counts, and obviously building to the more complex things when it comes to motion adjustment, whether it be backfield motions, receiver motions, tight end motions, and also trying to figure out how it best fits our players to give those guys the best shot to have success on game day.
I'll ask you about the tight end, too, because it's really been kind of non-factor for this team for the last 3 years. How big is that in what you've seen from what Frank wants out of this offense and from what you want and what you experience with the Rams?
Well, to me, it's about having a specific role for every single guy you deploy on the field, whether it be a tight end group or receiver, and O-lineman or running backs, obviously quarterbacks as well, of all working together so all 11 could be on the same page to execute down in and down out. Whether it be normal D&D, whether it's third down, whether we're talking 2 minutes in the red zone, is operating and playing complementary football with the defense.
Thomas, obviously you guys did a lot of work on Bryce in the pre-draft and interviewed him and got to know him. Has he still kind of impressed you even more than you thought he would in terms of his ability to read the field, process, especially when he's facing pressure like he did Saturday?
1,000%. And I would say that's pretty hard to say just based on the level of esteem we had, just kind of watching them kind of coming out from an evaluation standpoint. But I would say every day, I mean, there's 2 to 3 highlight plays, whether it be pocket movement, throwing off balance, whether it be disguise what our defense is doing from a pass protection standpoint, and get us into the right looks to everything, to how he handles just overall, like I said before, just the pressure, like down and down, which is it's rare for a guy his age because he's still a young dude for sure, but he acts like he's probably 45 years old at the time, maybe older than me. But just the way he operates is kind of just be fun to be around. So.
Thomas, the call plays in the game the other night. I mean, just talking about the opportunity to be able to do that, but does that help you sort of see things from Frank's perspective when you guys are talking back and forth about certain things?
Yeah, so I would say this about Frank, man. It's been phenomenal to be around him from day one, and every day we continue to grow closer together, continue to have great communication, and continue to be on the same page as far as the overall goals. I think being able to understand, being men of integrity, how we operate overall. But as far as how a game is called, I mean, I think your personality kind of comes out and shows when it comes to being a play caller, because there's definitely going to be the same system for sure, the same players on the call sheet. But when you actually activate them, it's kind of sometimes more so personality driven. But I think being able to have that opportunity, that experience is great for my development, but also so we can be on the same page as well, as you mentioned, between Frank and I.
Frank said that he didn't want to show anything, but he also wants to have some success on the field.
Yeah.
So do you open the playbook a little bit more come Friday?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think, again, the score always matters. I mean, we're in a results-driven business, but during this time of year is definitely more about the evaluation process and trying to find the best guys going to end up making this roster down the road. So we'll maybe have a couple more wrinkles we'll throw in here and there. But to me, regardless of that, it's more about the execution. Step in, step out.
Sorry.
No, you good.
Is it tough to execute when it is so vanilla? Like if you really do hide so much and you wouldn't in the regular season, is it tough to evaluate?
I think based on what we've done from a practice standpoint, it doesn't matter whether we're vanilla or not vanilla. This is about overall execution. And like I said before, we didn't get that done, which is frustrating for us as players and coaches, but definitely not concerned one bit.
Thomas, what's the update on Andy Dalton? He wasn't practicing today.
Yes, had like a little small kind of back tightness yesterday, so nothing really worry about us from an evaluation standpoint, just giving him some time to kind of just rest up from that. But he was good to go yesterday.
You seen go ahead.
And just another question about the quarterbacks. Luton got some reps today.
Yeah.
Is that a legitimate third string battle between him and Matt Corral?
Well, I think every time you talk about the overall evaluation of your roster, you want to have competence in every single spot. So whether it's the quarterbacks, the running backs, the O-line, receivers, it's about being able to be consistent every single day. So we're always evaluating that and going through the process of trying to find the best available guys, regardless of position.
We saw Blackshear make a play and he kind of delivered a hit to Jamie Robinson. What have you seen from him during training camp? I see a little smile on your face.
Yeah. I mean, it got a great reaction from the overall offense and defense. It's a little kind of trash talking going back and forth, which is awesome to be able to have. It's an emotional game. As long as we control those emotions and realize that we're still on the same team at the end of the day, that's the overall goal. But as far as Blackshear goes, being able to have special teams value, I better give reliable depth behind Miles from a third down standpoint, as well as from a normal D&D standpoint. It's really good for the most part. It's kind of watching him grow from OTAs until now.
You got Josh McCown, your quarterback coach, former quarterback. You got Frank, a former quarterback, and they're all in Bryce's ear. So as the offensive coordinator, when do you get to be in his ear, and how is that relationship, how is that developed?
Well, we all work together from a collaboration standpoint. It's not about trying to jockey for positions to try to figure out who can be the closest to Bryce or deliver the most information to him. I think we all have very specific roles, and I think as long as we always committed to that overall goal, which we have been and will continue to be moving forward, I think it'll all be great from a standpoint of his development. Speaking of Bryce.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You good?
Thomas, you've talked and sung Bryce's praises rather,
Yeah.
How he's handled himself, how he's getting acclimated, going through all the things that he has to do. With that and all those glowing reviews come so many expectations. How do you tamp down the expectations and let Bryce just go play and go figure it out?
Well, to me, it's simple. I mean, you ignore the outside noise, whether it's good or bad. I was joking with Bruce a little bit earlier that, I really don't watch anything much on TV, whether it's good or bad. I just focus on my daily process and my daily grind. I think it's the same for Bryce as far as being able to understand what's expected of him every single day when he comes in the meeting room, to his walkthrough preparation, to practice as well, and just focus on that daily improvement is the overall goal.
I apologize if you address this, but
Oh, you good?
when you sat down, or when Frank sat down with you and talked about the play calling, the sharing of the play calling duties during the preseason, did he discuss sort of how that could help you in your development? Was that a piece of this?
Yeah, I think even day one, from the first time we got on the Zoom call and he interviewed me, we had kind of a two-part process. And he just flat out asked me my overall thoughts of wanting to become a play caller. And to me, in my mind, whenever that time comes, you want to become a obviously play caller when you have the opportunity to. But it's more about us making sure we do a really good job of collaborating, putting our brains together, and also being objective when it comes to our own personal biases to build the best overall offense kind of moving forward. So definitely great for my development, but also so I can be in a better spot to kind of challenge him as well to help us both grow and be the best we can be.
It sounds like he has been mindful of giving you those opportunities elsewhere. Like, I think he had mentioned you installed the offense during OTAs.
Oh, yeah.
What has that meant?
I think it's rare. I think, one from an offensive standpoint, but just overall, when you are the play caller, to be able to be in a position to actually have concern for the development of your overall staff. And I've had this dialogue with him several times when it comes to where he gets that from a background standpoint. Like I said before, it's not always normal. But being able to be in a spot with me or somebody else on our staff, continue to challenge us to put us in the best spot we can be is always going to be for our overall growth and development, not just, for our personal goals, but for this team as well.
Thomas, talk a little bit about Deuce Staley and this whole little rivalry thing that he has going on between him and Von Bell.
I mean, if you know Deuce, Deuce is Mr. Energy. So I kind of mentioned before, like in my opening presser, that I used to always have to be the guy that would kind of have juice and bring it. I have willingly given that over because he's way better than me when it comes to that, among other things. But he does an awesome job of connecting with all players on our team. But, they kind of go back and forth every single day, have a little banter between the two of them because Von's a feisty dude as well. So I think it's more about trying to rile our guys up to compete every single day. But it's definitely fun to watch.
Do a couple more. Can you talk about who your under-the-radar player is on the offense this year and who you'd like to see more out of?
That's everybody. It's hard to say who I want to see more of and just point out one guy. But I think, again, it's about being able to have an open mind and continue to compete at every single position. And as we kind of work towards putting together our best roster moving forward.
Hearing you speak on Frank Reich today, and even the last time he spoke, he talked about the collaboration between the two of you. Even the chemistry seemed to happen faster than even he thought.
Yeah.
What was your experience, and why do you think that was the case?
I think because we are very like-minded when it comes to the overall goal of being able to swallow your pride when it's time to swallow your pride and figure out, what is right versus who is right, which, again, can be rare in some instances. I think also being able to be in a spot where we had never worked together, never spoken together before. And I was a part of the NFL Accelerator program a couple of years ago when I heard him speak in Atlanta, but we never had any communication. So it's always tough to try to figure out how you gel with certain people, but he's been first class in every single way, so I'm going to continue to do a really good job of doing my part so we can continue to collaborate together and continue to learn and grow as we move forward.
What was your first impression when you heard him speak?
Frank? Well, I won't necessarily share what he said because there was some intimate dialogue in that small setting, but I was surprised and excited about how honest he was about some of the issues around the league and his thought process towards it, him being able to be on the forefront of doing everything he can in his role to kind of address those same issues, which is, again, I really haven't heard that from many people. But his overall delivery, demeanor, definitely commanding presence, but also calm at the same time was great to kind of see in that moment.
So are you referring,
Hold on, Joe, then David, and then we'll wrap it up.
was that a reference to him being proactive on minority hiring and advancement type of stuff, if I was reading you right?
Yeah, again, I won't go into details of everything that was discussed there, but I think the overall program, there was some dialogue amongst people that kind of, attended of their thoughts or our thoughts of the meaning behind the program or the message behind the program, even though there were some unbelievable people who were involved in the grassroots. But it was just great to be able to hear him kind of share that and talk about his approach and his process towards the development of coaches.
And then a quick follow-up, will the arrangements Friday be the same as last week between you and Frank?
Yes.
All right, David.
You mentioned issues around the league. One, and I guess like Eric Bieniemy, trying to get a fair opportunity. Not many black offensive coordinators that have the play calling ability. What happened with Eric? How did that impact you, and how does that impact where you want to do to kind of break that mold?
Well, I look at it from an independent standpoint as far as everyone's journey, but also don't ignore clear signs and also history. And I know Eric to some degree. We're not like super close. I haven't never worked with him before, but my interaction with him when I've been around him have been phenomenal as far as how he's been in front of the group, presentation standpoint, his communication skills. And it's, not about making excuses because excuses don't matter. But I think if you're going to be honest, we're all understand what is going on and what's transpired as far as the history-wise behind it, but also what we have to do from a moving forward to put everyone in a better spot to have success.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
See ya.